Welcome back, YouTube. Minute Science is back with G and J.
What's happening? What's happening?
Another new video for the new year, 2021. We're back. Now, there's a specific reason we brought this video. We've been seeing a disturbing trend. Something is wrong with these British boxers. And I don't mean like one or two. I mean damn near all of them. I mean, when I look back to the first time I watched the fight live with my dad, it was Frank Bruno's 6'6" ass, big and brolic, muscles coming out of his neck. It's the first time I'm watching a fight live. And who did I pick in that fight? Frank Bruno. And yes, he got folded several occasions by Mike Tyson. Now, you'll probably say, oh, it's Mike Tyson. He folds just about everybody he fights, no matter how tall, how fast, how strong they are. This is a trend. I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, it's like all of them. You got Nassim Hamed back in 1997. They said this guy was going to fight Floyd Mayweather when Floyd Mayweather was destroying cats. The biggest win he had was against a guy named Kevin Kelly. You know that guy?
Mm-hmm.
But do y'all know him? No. Who did he lose to? It got embarrassed by Marco Antonio Barrera. It probably shouldn't even be on people's like historic list. You got Chris Eubanks Sr. fought back in the day at 168. Never fought Roy Jones, never fought Bernard Hopkins, never fought James Toney. You got Joe Calzaghe. We know Joe Calzaghe, Mr. Pity Pat, that beat Roy Jones when he was 97, when he didn't have any legs, and it barely beat Bernard Hopkins. We got Carl Froch. Don't let us get started on Carl. Just I don't know what type of. I mean, he jabs, and his other hand is like a mile away from his face. And I mean, he still to this day complains about his embarrassing loss to Andre Ward. You got Ricky Hatton. We all know how many times Ricky Hatton hit the canvas. We got Amir Khan, who hit the canvas probably more in more in more devastating fashion than Ricky Hatton. You got somebody on Terrence Crawford's, resume who's supposed to make him a Ricky Burns. Do you guys know? Heard of that name? Other than maybe some English pop song, Ricky Burns? No. You got Liam Smith, all the Smith brothers that Canelo Alvarez beat amongst the years that had belts or had some reason to be picked for the sweepstakes, the damn golden ticket for the chocolate factory with this dude, rather than him fighting a Charlo or an Andrade or anything of that nature. You got Kell Brook, God bless his soul. He beat he muscled up Sean Porter at one time, but he got one eye socket broke by Triple G, got the other eye socket broke by Errol Spence. Then he got knocked out by Terrence Crawford. You got Anthony Yardy, who's a black British guy. He got mopped up. You got the last guy, Luke Campbell, this weekend, who fought Lomachenko, who had a gold medal in the Olympics and got embarrassed by a kid that was a YouTube star. There's more on the list and there's some exceptions, but Jay, what the hell is wrong with British boxing?
So I always, was aware of that pattern, the same pattern that you were talking about. And recently, I kind of started to, think about the same thing you were thinking about over the years, and really trying to break it down or connect it to some commonalities. And so I got some top things that I'm considering, but I believe I have about 5 to 6 things on my list, and then I'll tell you what the top two most influential things that or the things that are holding them back. So 5 reasons. What we got? So in the UK, most of the sports are low contact. So just the mindset around being hit or just body to body contact is very different. Even in soccer, you can consider soccer to be somewhat contact, but it's not full contact. They play basketball, but it's a different style of basketball. You very rarely see British basketball players. You know what I'm saying? You got cricket, low contact. You got, you know what I'm saying? So you get the trend on that. So another thing, not having to face superior athletes on a very regular basis. Now they have it, but it's not common. All right. Mm-hmm. Another reason, very, very, very few well-known worldwide trainers. You cannot tell me off the top of your head one world-renowned boxing trainer. I'll give you an hour. You probably couldn't come up with one. You know what I mean? So
Usually when they do well, they have an American trainer training them.
exactly. So that's one of the major ones, because the thing that pushes American boxing culture ahead is our deep rooted culture in it. So you got your Kronk gyms, you got your Detroit Philly boxing culture. You know what I mean? And now we're starting to see that Texas hotbed, that roughness. You know what I mean? And that's starting to be the new era in boxing. Really, this is kind of the Texas era of boxing right now. But moving forward, getting back to what we're talking about, another one is the oversaturation of the talent pool. In the UK, there is much more of a common man fighter, and they actually really like that. For us, we celebrate superior athletics and domination, and it's a reflection of what our sport is, or what our sports are. The only sport that's really not like that is baseball. Really, it's more skill oriented rather than a physical force against force dominance. And lastly, um, I just think that there's a consistent, how can I say this? A consistent overstating of skills and putting somebody on a world level just because it sounds good, rather than, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even for somebody that deserves it, but putting him in the same conversations with Muhammad Ali. Like, there's no reason to put Tyson Fury in the same conversation as Muhammad Ali, but they'll say that just to get people's attention. But some people that don't know boxing will attach themselves to that and just run with it. So it's just a lot going on. But I definitely think the culture around boxing and the training are the biggest reasons, and just not really having a lot of full contact athletic competition.
No, I agree with you. And don't get us wrong. We're not saying they're just straight trash. I mean, I appreciate some of the fighters. I like Ricky Hatton. I like Kell Brook. I used to mess with Nassim Hamed, the Prince, with all the shenanigans and whatnot. Our problem is, as soon as they get on the big stage, no matter how many fights they had or how much you pump them up, something catastrophic happens. I'm tired of them getting knocked out by body shots. Now, some people, the dumb fans out here saying they don't do no sit-ups. I'm not gonna say all that. I'm not gonna call them out like that. I know they doing sit-ups. I saw Luke Campbell with the soft body, but the tight stomach going on. I don't know what they doing. I remember hearing about Anthony Yardy, the guy that fought Sergey Kovalev at 175 pounds before Kovalev got knocked out by Canelo, talking about Anthony Yardy doesn't spar. What do you mean? How do you practice without practicing? Anybody got time for you shadow boxing in your back in your basement, getting ready for the next level? Kell Brook, after he lost to Terrence Crawford, his last devastating loss, he said, "We're behind." I don't know if he meant to tell us the truth, but he pretty much came out with it. We're behind. British boxing is behind, or European boxing, whatever he meant, is behind American boxing. Like Jay said, superior athleticism or superior competition. Now, it's not any fault of mine or Jay's that the British and other empires and even places in Africa decide to sell the most athletic Africans to Western, societies, and then they took them, interbred them, and then you saw them as your athletes today. That's not my fault. But that's what's going on in the talent pool out here. When you come up in any sport that's popular here, your competition is literally people that have been bred to compete physically before any skill comes into play. So that's number one. Like Jay said, we're going to look at that because we know it's prevalent in society. And we're going to put our money on that more so than skill, because we know the history to that. We know what it looks like for a Muhammad Ali, a 6'3" fighter, flying across the ring, beating up heavyweights. We know what it looks like to see a guy that's 5'10", only weigh 219, 20 pounds, knock out people that's 6'5", and Mike Tyson, 6'6". We know what it's like to see a Floyd Mayweather, 5'8", with a 72-inch reach, look like he's in the Matrix when he's fighting people. We know what it looks like when we see Roy Jones just look inhuman in the ring. We know what that looks like. We have never seen that in any other culture or a group of people on this planet other than Manny Pacquiao, who some people believe has taken PEDs. Bottom line, that something is, other than what's in the water or not in the water, they're not being taught something. Like I would think, Jay, I would think if you had people go, if you had Chris Eubanks, who's from way back in the day, if you had Nassim Hamed, who was from way back in the day, if you had Lennox Lewis, that they would build off of that. That's what our trainers do. You don't get our trainers. Our trainers, a lot of them are ex-fighters. Emmanuel Stewart was not a great fighter. Freddie Roach was a bum. Freddie Roach was a bum. Robert Garcia, the trainer of Mikey Garcia, Margarito, the list goes on. His dad had trained Fernando Vargas. I mean, their whole family gets with the business and the product. He was a champion around the same time Floyd Mayweather fought. He had fought Diego Corrales before Floyd fought him. He did a good job. When they asked him about him potentially fighting Floyd, he said, "I would have got dusted. I would have got waxed." But what did he become? A great trainer. Why haven't they at least used some of their experience to cultivate the talent of today? You got Africans over there. You got African migrants. Anthony Joshua is Nigerian. What's your favorite UFC fighter? Who's Nigerian background? Israel Vanes Usman, but I think what's name has a Nigerian background as well. Israel.
You're talking about Israel Adesanya. I believe he's Igbo. I think. No, right. I think he's other tribe, but yeah.
You have some African descendants or some people with some superior genetics. I'm not gonna say it's just African because we have seen outside of the European fighters, the Western European fighters from Britain and France and Ireland and stuff like that. As far as the Eastern Europeans, the Yugoslavians, the Ukrainians, the Russians, they've been handling business. Lomachenko, Sergey Kovalev, Gennady Golovkin, Costa Zoo, who resided in Australia but is from Eastern Europe, they put hands on people.
Right.
Even Victor Postal, who beat Victor Postal, who fought Terrence Crawford to get the undisputed title at 140 pounds, even he was nice. Eastern European, they can fight. I don't know what they're doing over here in Western Europe. I really don't understand the difference, bro. Like, do you think, looking at Eastern Europe, that if you look at the Olympics and how they're doing the Olympics as far as track, how well they done in gymnastics primarily, Western Europe, do you just think there's more discipline because of some inherent hardship in those places, and there's just too much privilege in those countries we're talking about?
I think it's a combination of a couple of different things, but that definitely is a huge factor. But I also see, how can I say this? With different types of governmental systems, you have different types of lifestyle. So in a free society, kind of like the UK, you have a lot of choices as to what you can be and what you want to be. Right. And a lot of those other countries, your path is set from birth. You know what I mean? If your dad was a boxer, that's what you're about to be, and you're doing it from 5 years old and wrestling bears and stuff like your boy from UFC. You know what I mean? So it is, and it's, right, and it's a lot like our Eastern countries like China and Japan when it comes to Olympic sports like gymnastics. Those kids are from babies know what they're going to do with their lives. And I think that is a big advantage that Eastern European fighters have over. And now we're seeing a resurgence of Japanese and Chinese fighters. So there's something to be said about that.
You're right.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that.
You're right. And again, Pacquiao started that. And not to say there's no hardship or no ghettos or no urban slums in Western Europe. It's just that it's a combination. They're going to have to get a lot of things together. Anytime there's success, it's just not one thing, especially with the talent pool on the world stage. Local, national, statewide, you can isolate or you can handpick, your route to success. But once you get on the world stage and media gets involved, that's what's happening to these British fighters. On a national media stage, too many people are lauding these dudes as greats when I won't say they're stepping stones, but you got a whole bunch of Arturo Gattis out here. You got a whole bunch of Arturo Gattis. You got a whole bunch of Mickey Wards out here, and y'all putting them up against Floyd Mayweather and Andre Ward and Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, and the list goes on and on. Marco Antonio Barreras, Manny Pacquiao, if I didn't say his, and they're destroying these dudes. They're destroying, and we want to be honest about it, man. I do not want to shit on anybody. I don't want to get anybody any disparaging remarks. I don't want to get in on their trainers, but I do not want to go into comment sections or boxing chat rooms or on Twitter or Instagram and argue with you about Liam Smith, about some Billy Joe Saunders. He don't even got no nickname. What nickname you gonna give Billy Joe Saunders? I don't know how you promote these dudes unless you lie. And that's what they've been doing. They just lie, and it's not necessary. I think they just need to market like they've done with the global marketing, and then take that and improve.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is maybe they just don't know that there's another gear, because in American sports, we understand that there's a B level. You might even throw in a B+ level before you get to A level. And then there's a special category that we call the S level, or the top shelf.
S
level. And right. your Floyd Mayweathers are up there. Your Israel Adesanyas are up there. Your Johnny Bones Joneses are up there. You know what I mean? Your Ray Lewises of the world are up there. You know what I'm saying? Super athletes that have the capacity to push your LeBron Jameses are up there, that push their body to the absolute limit without damaging the body and stay there. You know what I mean? That's a totally different level. And I think a lot of people on the worldwide stage, as far as it is, concerned with boxing, merge the A level and the S level and don't know the differentiation between the two.
No, you hit a good point there. It made me think about something. One of what you can attribute to our success is the combination of the blue-collared hard worker with the superior athleticism that is inherent with access to improving technically. The improvement technically is, while all of it is an intelligent quotient, something you can measure on intelligence, that technical part is the highest, is more heavily weighted on how the intelligence of how you're going about it. It looks to be that they haven't connected all the dots. A lot of our civil rights struggles are asks of this society is that we get access, and we use that access because we had already mastered the hard working part. We already knew we had to work twice as hard. Don't give us the same skill set or the same access to the same teaching, because with this background of hard work, we know we're gonna just blow you over. The problem with the American quarterback, the Black American quarterback, in some instance, you see Cam Newton is about to leave the Patriots, is that some dudes don't connect that intelligence quotient to the athleticism. But when you get a guy that does, although Patrick Mahomes is biracial, you see the athleticism coming from many of the Black quarterbacks that preceded him, the McNabbs, the Cunninghams, and all this other stuff. He combines it with the access to the information, the access, not that one community is more intelligent than the other. Once you give them access to the same training, the specifics, the background, the resources, then you can take yourself to the next level. If you have your Anthony Joshua's, if you have your Ricky Hattons, if you have your Nassim Hameds, the Irish were even, persecuted over there and over here. If you have these people that work hard, where is the access and the resources similar to the ones we got over here, the Riches, the Emmanuel Stewarts, the Freddie Roaches, the Eddie Futches, all the legendary fighters and trainers? I don't care about your promoter who can talk slick. I'm talking about your legendary promoter. And even though I'm not a big fan of Tyson Fury, what did he do? I lost to a dude. I need to get what he got. Or what the rest of the Americans have. I need to get access to the same levels of resources. He went to Freddie Roach before he went to the Crunk Gym. Mm-hmm. He went to Freddie Roach. So maybe the British fighters and the British fans, y'all need to look at that before you even start an argument with us. If whatever his British English name, Gregory Johan, I don't care what his name is. If you don't know his trainer, if we don't know his trainer, he's getting folded. When he gets on the top level, he is getting folded. There's no exceptions.
And I'll relate it to people in a much simpler way. If you've ever seen a karate movie, a Bruce Lee movie, any of that, you or even anime, you can equate it to this. When have you ever seen a dojo with no master go up against a dojo with a grandmaster and ever accomplish anything? That will not happen. And what we're seeing is in America, we have well-respected houses or dojos where there's a culture of success going back 50, 60, in some instances, even in Detroit, 80 years. And then you have new houses or new places of discipline popping up all over Britain, or it's just passing hands because we're not hearing of family reputations like the Garcias. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? We're not hearing that, or maybe we're just ignorant to the English level of that. I don't know, but there definitely does seem to be a difference in the longevity of the tradition.
Right. And
which is confusing with all the Queensberry rules and everything coming from over there.
Right. I mean, yeah, y'all started boxing and you see what happened, just like many other sports. I will say this: y'all can watch all them shows you want to, because some of them will be hard headed and work their way to the top. Guess what? We work just as hard, so that shit ain't gonna work. So I'm gonna close it out on that. Make sure y'all comment. We love the comments, even if you disagree with us. Like the videos or dislike. Just like the video. Don't even unlike it. Don't dislike it. Share in your social spaces, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, where people start arguing over boxing. Put this in the pool. See what type of feedback you get. And subscribe, of course. Renaissance. Jay, we out.
Once again.